Hello, everyone. We had some technical difficulties, and I'm coming back. I'm going to wait for some people to return. Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming back. Cindy and I were talking about breakup nightmares that we both had. Hi, Rocky Gizmo. Hi, Lori, WWF, and 56N 111 W. Yes, point of view. Let's see. They're filing. I can't keep up with it. But a subject was brought up by a caller in the last scope, Eva B. And she was listening to Cindy and I talk and was saying that, there's a name for these disturbances in families that happen through high. I can't read. I should get my glasses. What did I do with my glasses? Why do I always forget to do that? Just keep piling in. Just keep flocking in with massive numbers. Let's see. I know where my glasses are. Okay. All right. Okay. So pile in. All right. So this was the topic. There is a name for what's happening in families, and it's becoming rampant. It's called uh, parental alienation syndrome. And the title of this is written by Sherry Steins, psychology of doctorate of psychology, May 12, 2017. And this could be a person who is the court-appointed psychologist that Cindy had some help and assistance from. Hi, PA Mentor.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for letting
I'm
me
doing
join in, Abe.
sure.
Am am I okay for volume and I'm not warbly or anything?
It's perfect here.
Okay. Share. Fabulous. So what article do you have here for us today?
It is children with attachment-based narcissistic parental alienation syndrome. And this is the damage that's happening through
Oh,
divorce and
I'm not sure if
brutal.
folks can hear me. I'm not sure it's buffering. I don't know if it's on my end or not. I got a good connection. Let's see.
Okay, they can hear you,
Okay, I don't know if
and they
anybody
can
can
hear.
hear
I'm
me.
going to
I'm
read.
actually Abe, I've like lost everything. I don't know if it's my end, your end.
Okay,
Oh, I'm back. Now I hear you. I don't know what happened. It was buffering.
you could not hear us.
Okay. All right. Party goes on without me.
Okay,
I love it. I love it.
that's
Okay.
great.
So, yeah. Okay. I've seen this one. Go ahead.
Parental alienation syndrome, PAS, is the unhealthy coalition between a narcissistic parent and his child or his or her children against the targeted, non narcissistic, non abusive parent. The
Mhm.
innocent or targeted parent receives hostility and rejection from his or her children in this system. The psychological health of the children is used as arsenal in the narcissist's twisted world. Parental alienation syndrome is a family systems pathology involving the triangulation of children into the abusive narcissistic parental relationship. In the case of PAS, the cross generational coalition exists between the narcissist and the child or children and is a covert type of narcissistic abuse. In typical family systems, therapy would most likely be cooperation with the offending parent, to break the coalition with the child and stand united with the other parent. With a narcissist, this will not happen. Narcissists have limited insight, so they will be unwilling or unable to see their unhealthy union, believing it to be occurring because he or she happens to be the superior parent, deserving of loyalty, deeming the innocent parent as bad. In addition to this, narcissists are unwilling to collaborate on anything, even in therapy. Going to therapy with a narcissistic partner will usually backfire on the targeted partner. Symptoms of PAS are: 1. The children sit in judgment of the targeted parent's adequacy and competency as a parent. So the child begins to judge the victim parent. The narcissistic parent covertly encourages, empowers, and rewards the children for this behavior. 3. The narcissistic parent feigns innocence in this process. 4. The children believe they are acting independently. That is, they believe they are not being influenced by the alienating parent. The system is created. Did I lose you, PA mentor? Did I lose the audience? Can you hear me? Okay. Thanks for calling in, PA mentor. I don't know what happened, but I appreciate it. It was nice talking with you. It was the first time. So the system is created as the alienating parent. This is the family system. As the alienating parent rewards the children when they say hostile or angry things about the targeted parent by encouraging and displaying quote unquote understanding for the children's negative feelings. When what should really be occurring is the children should be taught to respect the other parent. In essence, the children are gaining acceptance from the narcissistic parent as they complain about the target parent. For instance, suppose the targeted parent tells the child to do a chore, and the child resists, as is so often the case with children being told to do something they don't want to do. Now, suppose the child goes to the narcissist and complains about the quote unquote mean other parent. The narcissist will then sympathize with the child, encouraging him or her to feel victimized by the outrageous expectations of the targeted parent. Excuse the child from having to do the chore. Thus, the child is getting sucked into the web of PAS. The targeted parent is outraged, bewildered, hurt, and betrayed. The child has been covertly empowered to disrespect. Empowered to disrespect the one parent who is actually trying to develop a decent human being. The narcissist sits back, effortlessly creating the destructive coalition with his kid or child. Let me finish reading this, PA, and then I'll take your call. In essence, the children are empowered to disobey, disrespect, disregard the non-narcissistic parent. On the surface, the children feel and believe they are benefiting and winning, but in reality, they are playing a sordid part in the narcissist's perverse mind games. There are some detrimental effects to the children because of this. These are the detrimental effects. 1. Children's sense of value is diminished because they believe the targeted parent is unworthy of being identified with. If the children have any interests or traits similar to the rejected parent, then the children will be forced to reject those aspects of themselves as well. A child's character is damaged as he or she is covertly rewarded to be disrespectful, entitled, rude, judgmental, condescending, ungrateful. parentified and hateful. I don't know what parentified means. I have an idea. Parentification inventory for the past 18 years, Dr. Hooper Clark. Okay. I just want a fucking definition. Sensitive children, empaths, and gifted children are especially prone to be parentified. They are by nature more empathetic, responsive, and intuitive than others. Let's see. Give me a definition. Come on. Usually the definition comes on. So Eva summed it up. I didn't see it. Oh, kid becomes the parent. Yeah. But it seems to be a topic of far deeper meaning. There's not just some canned or some small, brief definition by a dictionary. So thank you, Eva. The children develop a toxic bond to the alienating parent as he or she manipulates them into fearing a lack of acceptance from him or her. Treatment for this type of dysfunctional family coalition will not occur with a direct approach involving all members of the family. A different approach is needed. This will most likely require out of the box thinking and may be difficult to pull off. Here's what is needed to end PAS: a break in the coalition between the narcissistic parent and the children. This requires separation. Restoration of the bond between the non-narcissistic parent and the children. Reconstructing of the improper power balance between the children and the non-abusive parent back to wholeness. The innocent parent may have no idea why his or her children have turned against him, her, and may have no idea what to do about this disheartening problem. It also may be impossible to remove the children from the narcissist's life because, after all, the narcissist isn't doing anything illegal. Because of these constraints, the non-abuser needs to be creative and figure out how to accomplish the above three objectives. Again, break in the coalition, restoration of the bond, restructuring of the power balance. So it's break, bond, restructure, or balance. Break, bond, rebound, or balance. If you're a victim of PAS, here are some suggestions for you to try to help turn things around. Be proactive. Do not believe this problem will just go away on its own. It will most likely get worse. Change yourself. Realize that there is not much you can do about the alienating parent. You can only change yourself. Take a good look at your own behaviors and modify where necessary. Be proactive, change yourself. Be a strong parent. Do not roll over easily, no matter how angry your children may be with you. Find ways to attach with your children every day, even if they don't want you to. Call them, text them, talk to them, touch them. Do whatever you can to connect to your children. Be solid, be direct, be firm, be consistent, be stable. Even if you don't feel those things, act as if you do. If at all possible, find a good therapist who understands PAS and bring yourself and your children to see him, her. Use strategies akin to those used when people leave a cult. In essence, PAS is a form of brainwashing. Take very good care of yourself. Do things that are good for you and bring you joy. Do not grovel, beg, or allow your children to see that you are threatened by their behavior. Stand strong. If a narcissist encourages your children to disobey you, hold your ground and make sure your children do what you request, starting with no disrespectful behavior in the home, period. Develop some catchphrases to use with your children that you can say in moments when things are particularly difficult for you to handle. Use humor. Be enjoyable to be around. Be smarter than the narcissist. Be determined and refuse to let the abuser destroy the relationship between you and your children. Educate yourself. Stop reading, arming yourself with, never stop reading and arming yourself with knowledge. In addition to this, educate your children. Join a support group so you can get help as you deal with this battle for your children. Realize that you are dealing with a form of psychological manipulation of your children in which they have been brainwashed to respond toward you in hateful ways because they are being psychologically rewarded by having pseudo interpersonal relationship with the other parent, whom the children perceive as more powerful. Parental alienation syndrome is a form of brainwashing. Think of this. Members of cults become brainwashed to the point where they will give up everyone they love, all for allegiance to a charismatic and manipulative leader. Some even give up their lives. Here's an interesting website on cults. You can educate yourself on the process of brainwashing and recovery. It's icsahome.com. icsahome.com. If you would like interesting abuse recovery articles sent to your email every month, blah 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 blah. This was Sherry Steins, doctorate of psychology. She is a recovery expert specializing in personality disorders, complex trauma, and helping people overcome damage caused to their lives by addictions, abuse, trauma, and dysfunctional relationships. Sherry is a counselor at Lifeline Counseling and Education Inc. in Southern California. She has a website, lifelinecounselingservices.org. Lifeline Counseling is a nonprofit organization. All right, so that's that. Thank you for bringing up that interesting topic, Eva. And there are things you can do. You're not hopeless. It's not hopeless. There is always hope, and there are things you can do. Hello, PA Mentor.
Hi, am I joined in? Better
You're joined
connection?
in.
Oh,
I don't
great.
know if people can hear the connection.
I'm not sure, and hopefully I'm not warbly. I haven't popped into any of your scopes in the past day or two. They were getting warbly, and I wasn't sure if there was something on my end.
I think the problem was fixed. They can hear you. Thumbs up.
Oh, fabulous. Thanks.
So,
So that was a great article, and Sherry has a lot of information, a lot of articles out there, and you covered a broad range. And the identifying it as a cult is, for those who don't understand what it is, not yet anyhow, that is the best way to describe it. And I know from personal experience, during the onset, until it had a name, that's how I referred to it. I'm like, they're with the cult of dad. It was like a 180 overnight. And it's a good entry point for knowing and learning some information. But it's true, it's important to have a name, most commonly known as parental alienation. Some people call it family bond obstruction, pathogenic parenting. So there's a couple
what
terms,
was it?
but
What was that third one?
uh, pathogenic parenting.
Right.
So
Those
those
names are
seem to be
perfect.
the
They
three.
convey the meaning.
Yes, yes, and that's the key. And uh, the the bottom line is that most
Hi.
commonly it occurs, after separation and a divorce, but it can and does occur even with a family is quote unquote intact. But it is when children refuse, and not only refuse, but will even go down a path of uh, real negative behaviors, mean streaks, if you will, when it's completely non justified, unwarranted, and it's quite extreme as well. If you talk to parents who go through this, it is, while some people may mislabel it as estrangement, that is something completely different. That is when a parent just wants to have nothing to do with their children. This is where a parent has been and wants to be part of their child's life, but the other parent does everything and anything to make that not happen. And they actually destroy the bonds between from the loving parent and their children. And for those who are just knowing about this, or hearing about it for the first time, it is quite pervasive. It's not a small number that are impacted. If you look back, Dr. Jennifer Harmon from the University of Colorado, she conducted the first study, and she's raising funds now actually to replicate this all over the country. But she did a study on the East Coast with a population that went through divorce court. And when she actually then plugs the numbers in from the population in the state that she used, if we
Almost go.
look at if we look
There's an
at this
expert calling you.
across the United States, we're talking about 22 million parents are impacted by this. They're erased from their children's lives. And obviously, it's
Thank you.
devastating to the parents, but it also has tremendous, devastating long term effects on the children.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about the children and what's the right uh, how would you characterize the result of this as far as grooming a child to be a human being as an adult? What do they become if it's not treated properly or successful?
Well,
They become narcissists themselves?
they could. They could take on traits similar to a narcissist. On the other end, they may take on the traits of someone who's a people pleaser, so they may take that journey. But the key is
Hmm.
is that perhaps a parent is trying to end a relationship because it's quite unhealthy, thinking they're breaking the chains, but from the outside looking in, it's consistent and pervasive. So the best thing a parent can do who's been the target parent is to get healthy. And even though there's that ongoing gray cloud that lives inside of you day in and day out, you plug forward and have faith and have hope. Keep moving forward, because as messy it is for the target parent, when the day
Ah, we lost her. Oh man, we lost her. That's quite amazing that we had an expert in this subject that could call in and help. Uh, Hopefully, she can come back in and call in. Are we having audio issues? Can you all hear me? Has the scope frozen? Okay. Okay, welcome back.
I'm sorry that phone rang. I don't know.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sure there's a setting to turn off the ring. I don't know how to do. I,
It happens all the time. Yeah.
oh, okay. So now I finally got a good connection, and my phone rings. Go figure. Um,
Good.
but for the children, and the important part is for the target parents to find a support system, find your faith, continue living in hope, take care of your soul, take care of your body, take care of your mind, learn about this, help other people. These are all various strategies for target parents to use, because our kids are going to pick up the phone one day, or they're going to show up at the door. And of course, it's going to be when you least expect it. And therefore, you always have to be moving forward, because as messy it is for the target parents that are out there, the kids are even more upside down. So be the rock of stability and unconditional love, and be a good listener.
Yes. Be a good listener.
Yes, too many times what I find over the past few years as I've worked with other target parents, they're looking for getting their story out. And then I know on the front end myself, that was, I needed to say, no, that's wrong. That's a lie. And, you realize the more you try, quite honestly, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, if you're on the extreme side. And there's a continuum, and we can talk about that. But if you're more on the extreme end of the spectrum, no matter what you do or don't do, there's going to be a problem or there's going to be a fault. So knowing that right there is huge. So what can you do for you so that, again, when the kids show up one day, you can be a better version of you than you ever were before? That you're not going to be falling for those folks that are toxic, that you're not getting into another terrible relationship, if you will. You got to get yourself set. That's why it's important. Especially if there's an ending of a relationship that has a power dynamic to it, you definitely need to give yourself 2 years before you even consider getting back in that dating realm, because it's a pattern and it'll repeat. And we don't want that to
Right.
happen.
Right. It's a familiar pattern, one that you think is,
Yes.
because
So
of
some
its familiarity, you'll just hop right back into it.
Exactly. So if you just take a step back and say, okay, why did I end up with somebody so dangerous? Did it start there? Where did it really begin? And once you discover where the root cause is, truly, that is when you can begin to turn the corner to your healing.
Yes. Yeah.
So this is why I
Uh,
love doing the talks with Eva B, because it really, what we both speak of, really complements itself very well, because there's the relationship aspect, and then there's the aspect that if there's children involved, if there's other family members involved.
right. Yeah. Um, so,
Mhm.
is there a sexual component to this?
How so? I don't. What does?
Well, I mean, I don't know how this connects, but I read about, studied a little bit about hybristophilia, in which women find themselves attracted to men who have done very gruesome, notorious deeds, and that they'll start to uh, send love letters to serial killers in prison. And but there's also a lesser form of it where a woman is aroused by a domineering man who's you know frightens her, or, this kind of thing. I mean, I don't know that that's part of it. I'm just asking.
That I've never been asked that, nor really considered that. I see that as something a little bit different.
Okay,
I
yeah, that's
just get
fine.
back to, yeah, like if you are with somebody who is toxic, where does that start? Where did that originate?
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's, that's across the board. I'm a root cause kind of girl. Where does this start? Where does it come from?
yeah.
So,
I mean, I could be
what
completely
this is,
way off base. It's food for thought. I mean, if you completely dismiss it and see no relevance, that's fine.
I,
But
I would
I've
look
been
for, I would ask
fascinated.
you for any kind of evidence to connect it, but it's not computing right now. It's not computing. I'm not seeing unless I'm not understanding, I don't see the entry point there. It is a power dynamic in a relationship, and there's
I guess I
poor
was only thinking of it.
communication.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
go ahead. No, go ahead. You were thinking what?
I was just thinking of it in terms of it being a marriage, and there is sex as part of it. So, uh, uh,
It's
I mean, is there? I'm just wondering if that was an example that may be wrong, but
okay.
is there?
So I think I think the way to channel this more so would be if we look at the power and control wheel. It's very
Mm-hmm.
common. Um, if Let me look it up right now. If you have power and control, and PA is a domestic violence. It is abusive behavior, and it is very often you'll hear somebody say, you know what, it would have been so much easier if he or if my husband, if my wife gave me a black eye or broke my arm. It is nothing like that. All the wounds are there. They're gushing, but they are invisible to the outer world.
Okay.
There's a lot of trauma, a lot of psychological trauma, complex
Right.
trauma.
Of
Yes.
course. Yeah. Even with the
And
children. So.
yeah, and what I really want to get out there more than anything, supports for those who are the targets, but more people will be the ones witnessing this, and they're the bystanders. And it is so
Oh.
important that
Yes.
when you see this, to 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 speak up, to say something. But and I know you have to. This is a fine line too, because you never, ever, ever call out somebody who's toxic. Never call them a narcissist or say you're acting like a narcissist. Like, avoid the N word at all costs. But
Right.
the angle
That makes
is,
sense.
and especially, yeah, more so in your families, is to address this in the mindset that there is nothing anybody could do. Well, I'm sure in extreme types of cases, but I mean, seriously, when a couple divorces, kids still need both their parents. They both need a mom and a dad. And no half-baked story could ever justify somebody's behavior for the kids not wanting to see the parents, especially when historically you have seen them. They're part of your family. They've always been loving and kind to their kids, and then all of a sudden they're gone, and they're being labeled crazy or love the kids. Like, it just doesn't make sense. The behaviors and the words don't make sense. And if you're falling in line with the narcissist, we'll use loosely here, the toxic parent, I mean, you're doing their bidding for them. And it is important to send a clear message to kids that, you know, I have seen your mother, I've seen your father with you, and they love you so much. And just keep that message coming to the kids. And
So, okay, brilliant. So, when you're going to speak up as an outsider,
yes,
it's only really to try to help the child see it as you come from a loving and good family, and
yes, and
both of
that
your
should not
parents are
change.
right. Okay,
Yeah,
right.
and
So
just
you don't want to get involved in their domestic dispute, other than to say, what would you say to the targeted spouse if you
well,
did speak up in that way?
the target parent, I think what they need is just unconditional love and support. And when a target parent, especially, like I said, and they're sharing their story, just listen. You can't judge.
There's that word again. People
Yeah.
want to be heard, and
Yes.
we've lost that skill of engaging in active listening, and it's It's a
Yes.
real gift. It's a spiritual healing gift that you can offer people by not making the conversation about yourself.
Yeah, it can't be. It can't be. When people are speaking about their self, about their story, and sharing something of them, then they're feel they can trust you and share that piece of themselves with you. Well, treasure that, honor it, and respect
Thank you, hon.
that,
Thank you,
and
Terry.
think about what. And it's not just about a conversation about this, but a conversation in general. Even if they're talking about something they did over the weekend,
Mm-hmm.
be be kind and hear what people have to say, and not be thinking about, oh, what can I say in return, or how do I,
Right.
oh, I did that too, let me tell, and then cut. Like,
Right.
he just just stop,
Exactly.
just be still,
I
just be
see a
still.
lot of I see a lot less effective listening on Periscope than in any other interaction I think I've ever seen. It's what you said. They're more interested in the response than what they're hearing.
Yeah, and it's so important, especially whether it's, somebody who's just left an abusive relationship, or somebody who is in this uh, PA dynamic, or anybody going through any kind of trauma. If they're sharing with you, I think it's just important to just be still and listen, and just be kind, and not to tell people what to do, and not to judge. Just tell them you're sorry. Just listen, because it's such a burden. This topic, it is so
Oh,
it's
the emotions are.
overwhelming. Yes, and it's beyond. It is. It's like all you say to somebody is just I am so blessed, like that, like we can have this conversation, and truly, thank God you have no idea what this is really about, because it cannot be described. The torture
Mm-hmm.
day in and day out.
Yeah, I can imagine, but I'm sure it's different from living it.
It's
You know.
yeah, yeah. It's beyond anything. And like there was a mom that called me last night, and she's been strong as a rock for the past couple of years. Her one child, they're young adults now. The one did come back before the holidays, and it was just like old times. And that was after 5 years of no contact. They had about 3 months, all good, fine, and then all of a sudden, right after the new year, radio silent, and now she hasn't heard from him. So she's kind of a little mess in the head a little bit, and we talk about it and sort through it. She did write him an email yesterday, and we talked about it. At this point, there was that reunification, and now he's made a choice. But for him to get strong and not repeat this cycle of abuse with his future family, you know, it's time for him to have a conversation about whatever's in his mind. And I know that when he does see her pick up the phone to see her in the very near, I'm sure he will.
Yeah.
She knows she's enough to sit and just listen to what he says, and she
Mm-hmm.
won't get defensive, won't argue with him, acknowledge his feelings, because there's all these sides. There's the parent side, the alienator side, and then the kid side. And
Right.
um, you
It
said
forms a
it's been
very
poor
unhealthy dynamic.
communication, and yeah, horrendous communication. So that has to be rebuilt. And there's been the children have been rewired. It is a cult. And if you look at what a cult leader does, and what happens, and then the re-entry into society afterwards, it's very similar.
Yeah. Another strategy for discussing this with the anyone involved in this, you said to avoid telling them what to do. I guess unsolicited advice, and that's a
Hmm.
very tempting thing for us to offer. Maybe very well meaning, sometimes self-serving, but
Hmm.
What is a better strategy than telling people what to do?
I I get back to what when you listen, what what are they saying? And are they telling you their story and they're looking for validation? Or are they telling their story and they're looking for resources, but they don't know what to do, where to go, and maybe you could help them in that way? I think also in the past, definitely in the past 3 years, we've turned a corner that this has become more of a talk point, and you know, coming out, if you will, and because I couldn't find other moms out there, and because it's horrendous for both moms and dads. For mom, there's all the more shame because all right, what the hell is wrong with her? Because what kid doesn't want anything to do with their mother? She really must be out of her mind. She must be really like
Oh, right.
so.
So are
So
females mostly the target in this dynamic, the targeted parent?
well, it's interesting that you asked that. There's been another recent study. There's a group I belong to, the Parental Alienation Study Group, and um, there it really is pretty close, split down the middle. It's not like it's 80% dads, 20% moms, and us moms are a small population. It's it's pretty close down the middle. The just difference is just in the past 3 years now, it's you. There's a lot of moms out there. So, when I started, I try to be active. My go-to place is Twitter, and I couldn't find one or two, and we bonded, and then but now just a short time, unfortunately, but fortunately, there's a community of us, but it's sad that it has to be under this
Yeah, yeah.
umbrella, but there's a lot of active moms on there as well, and it's not just there's a couple still that talk about dads or dads rights, and they have groups branded that way, but it's not a dad issue, it's not a mom issue, it's a children's rights issue, and children need
Ah,
both
very
their
good.
parents.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
That's it right there. Children need both their parents. um, and
That's
that's
right.
it. That's the key.
I feel
And
very,
yeah.
very blessed when I hear things like this. After decades of being parented, I gain so much more appreciation for my mother. She
Hmm.
never tried to
That's
ruin my
nice.
father for me. You know?
That is so, so beautiful. And that's the way it should be.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't realize at the time I was angry at my dad. She never
So,
fed
how
that.
old were you? What your parents, I'm assuming your parents divorced or split up when you were young, or?
My dad left her, separated when I was 9, and died that Christmas. So, on my mother's birthday,
Oh, oh, okay.
but I really didn't care for him because he was a jerk to my mom. I loved my mom, but she
Right.
never allowed me to
Sure.
persist with that. Your father's a
And
good man.
that's good. And that right. So she could think and say she has her circle that she could talk true to, but definitely she did the right thing. No matter what, that's still your dad. And you form your own opinion, not take on your mother's opinion or, what your mother's
Yes,
going through. And that's the
exactly.
difference here. You have a parent who is will not touch their own emotions or their own feelings or their own faults with a 10-foot pole. And many times then there's the other parent who like takes on everybody's, you know, problems, or, they're the ones that take on these issues. Well, now that dynamic's changed, and there's a fury and a hell to pay. And that's
Yeah,
what happens to the kids, unfortunately.
right. Yeah. I mean, I haven't been able to resist it. My brother was actually treated much better than me. who's loved more than me by my father for some reason. I mean, we had an airplane. He would show up at elementary school and take my brother out flying and stuff. And he, I'm not going to go into all the detail of the ugliness of it, but
Yeah, there's the stories just get the key
yeah,
is
yeah, it's pointless. So I mean, it's water under the bridge. I've dealt with that. I've made my peace. Um, but every now and then, I start to get some resentment that just resurfaces, and I'm talking to my brother. And
hmm
one day, I just kind of maybe you couldn't resist that temptation to ruin my dad for him. I know it's ugly. I know it's ugly, but I did it. And he blocked me on the telephone. So it actually just ruined the relationship there.
There's
And
still something going on, yeah.
yeah, there is, but I don't know. Hopefully he'll realize that, you know, that's all in the past. And I wish I had realized it at the time, but I gave into that, that tendency. I'm just saying that there is a draw to that negative
hmm
to reform that negative dynamic, and you can just reform it in your mind as something better.
Yeah. Well, and that's it. It's like that one of the books that that I have on the bookshelf on a website for people to look at is the book Mindset by Carol Dweck. And I started using it with leadership, but to me, I found it incredibly relevant in this
What's
because
the book again?
it's called Mindset by Carol Dweck. I have a library of books that I've navigated to Voices of the Erased.com, and I have it says library, and that book right there, to me, it's a classic. Um,
Can someone put that website up? This is your website, Voices of the Erased.
yeah, Voices of the Erased.com.
That's an
Yep.
interesting name. How did you come up with Voices of the Erased?
Because target parents are erased, and there is a clear message being sent to you that you don't matter, you don't have a voice, and truly you are erased from your child's life.
I
And
see. Yes. So it's from the
so
perspective of the target parent.
it's for parents and people who support erased parents to know that this person does not have this kind of power over you, and you do have a voice, and it's let's find it. Let's find
You're
it
helping them
and
find
let's
their
use it.
voice.
Yes.
You're
Yes.
helping them come out of being erased
Yeah, because the
by developing
shame,
their voice again.
absolutely, because the shame and guilt isolate you. The trauma
Yes.
from this, you are isolated, and it you you don't have to be alone. There's 22 million of us here holding hands and you know holding each other up every single day. We wish you were, but welcome to the club. And
Right.
you have a
And
voice
though
that
you may
matters.
feel like you're the only guy or gal going through this, you're not the only guy or gal going through
No,
this.
you
And
are
it's no,
not
it,
alone. Mm-mm.
yeah, not alone. Hey,
Nope.
how can we find you on Twitter?
So this is where I try. So what I call we uh Eva B and I we're still laughing because the one guy that kept calling me Pam. So I'm for parent alienation.
Right.
and
I thought it was
and you know,
Pennsylvania. So,
oh, was born there. Um, yeah. So,
oh,
oh, they're PA. I tried to get everything to line up, but see, sometimes I get my accounts all lined up, and who knows, I was probably triggered and I couldn't. Thank you, Eva. That and Sherry is here. I love Sherry to death. She's awesome. Yeah, and you can see like we're a crew. It's 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 a nice, it's a loving
please, please be sure to share PA Mentor out. Please be sure to share PA Mentor at PA Mentor out. You do Periscopes, right?
You know, I used to. I got away. I've been trying to get at least 2 videos up a week on a YouTube channel, and that's Voices of
Okay.
the Erased.
Voices of
But
the Erased on YouTube.
yeah, at least YouTube and the website match. So we got Voices of the Erased. But I should, jump on and do this and maybe talk a little bit, and then I can just post them up on the website. It's just, it's
Were you
hard when you're a
aware?
party of one. It's to do it all.
Right. Were you aware that you can change your ad handle on Periscope and Twitter?
Okay, I have to take a look at this and
You can go into your profile settings. You go into
okay.
the profile, and I can't really walk you through because I don't remember the actual steps. But you can change your ad handle on Periscope. It's not a permanent thing. If
Oh,
it's
okay.
available, you can change it to the other ad handle.
Oh, that
And you
would be
can even,
perfect.
yeah, and you can do the same thing on Twitter. So,
Oh, see if I can make it matchy to the website. I don't know. I'll
you
have
may
take a look
even
at that.
be able to make it exactly like it. And then you
Oh,
could put your website in the profile, which you probably already know. So,
yeah.
so
Yeah, I just worry
please
about
share
taking
this
too
out.
many
I mean,
spaces. Yeah. And reach out
please.
and yeah, follow me through to if anybody wants to, you could either reach me through the website or on the YouTube channel and definitely direct message. Twitter's my go-to. I know a lot of target parents. If you're good on Facebook and big on Facebook, there's a lot of support systems on Facebook. For me, I will not go. I won't touch Facebook. Sometimes, like I'll just by default post some of the videos up there on my profile. But like for me, I know Facebook triggers me because even when I'm on my strongest, see if I can pictures of the kids, and then next thing you know, an hour goes by. I'm down the rabbit hole. So it's like you know
Yeah, I
what you
get it.
can and can't do. Your limitations and
Yeah, I
honor
get it.
and
Yeah.
adhere to your mental
Yes.
health
Easier said
matters.
than done. And if you foul
And,
up, don't
and
punish
be
yourself.
gentle. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's no
Yeah.
value
Don't
to
punish
just
yourself
punning your.
and go, oh, there it is. Rabbit hole.
I might
Like,
as well
get me
just
my
do it all day
Bible.
long.
Right? Nope,
Yeah.
nope, because now we know we go all day. Forget it. There ain't no coming back. You know what? Say, okay, down the rabbit hole, I'll tech off. And then for me, I grab my Bible and I'll start reading
Oh, very good.
scripture.
Yeah. Hmm.
That's, and for many of the parents who have found strength through this, it is important to know that you cannot do it alone. You do need a support system, but I see a big difference between people who do have find people who look for and find strength in their spirituality. So,
Yes. Yeah.
reading scripture, uh, spending time and going to synagogue and talking to the rabbi and again engaging in scripture. That that is what I have seen to be the big differential between finding better ways to cope on a daily basis. It's
Yes.
where you find
Absolutely.
your hope. Yep, where you find hope, grace, and peace.
Yes. Yes. You
Yeah,
know, I
there's no
read a
way you
book
can do it
called one of
otherwise.
the most one of the most life changing books I ever read in terms of uh, uh, how I perceive the world was from a guy named M. Scott Peck, The Road Less Traveled.
Oh
I
yes,
love that book. I
yes.
love that book. And
Mm-hmm.
he said in there about alcoholism that he viewed it as a psycho-spiritual disorder, and
Mm-hmm.
that you heal spiritually. Basically, that's part of what the what a stumbling block is for a lot of addicts. They can't acknowledge a higher power. It's they're
Yeah.
atheists, which is another psycho-spiritual disorder. And
Hmm.
you heal yourself spiritually with
Yes.
psychological problems. You know,
Yes.
and that's what I heard. That's what I was thinking as you were talking. So
You're totally
you
spot on.
yeah. He's It's a brilliant book. I love. I think I may get it on Audible again and just listen to it.
That
It's
sounds
if
good. I
some
just
people consider it, huh?
Yeah. I just put it in, so I'm gonna take a look at it. And the one I remember, I may have had the one version of that. I see the with the old good old 70s retro lettering. I remember that.
Yes, right. It's fantastic,
Yes.
and I love his voice too. He narrates it on audio, uh, and it's great. Um,
Oh, awesome.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
download that one from the library.
I loaned that to somebody one time, the cassette tape. He's like, "Man, that was. I feel like I've been psychologically raped." It's like, what? He's like, it was brutal. Well, maybe you needed to
Oh,
hear it.
well, I was just gonna say that yeah, definitely resonated and included messages, obviously, that it was time to hear them.
Yeah. And I just hope that some of those ideas laid on his mind and he was able to decide whether or not it was right for him. But
Right,
not
for sure.
everyone's ready when they hear the information, right?
Yeah. Nope. But what God gets you to that time when he equips us when it's time and when we're ready, and always follow that feeling. I call it the Holy Spirit. When the Holy Spirit says do something, I'm on it.
Hmm.
The And you know what? You started out reading that article. If you I do have uh, it's called the PA Daily, and it's just you can get that. It pushes out on Twitter. I know you can have it delivered to your email, so that's good. I also it pushes
The
out
PA Daily?
automatically. Yep, the Parental Alienation Daily, and it goes online and picks, what are the top relevant articles for the day, and it compiles and pushes it out. So,
Very good.
so it's out there, and that's what I
Very
try
good.
to do the videos around.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. So it's the PA Daily at PA Daily on Twitter, and you can search for that. So
Yeah,
there
just
is a lot of
look
help out
under
there
me.
for you sufferers, huh?
Yeah. Just go to my Twitter profile. Give me if anybody wants that Parental Alienation Daily, just follow me on Twitter, and then it'll come into your feed.
Excellent. Hey, I'm going to get going here. I'm getting notifications that my battery's dying. So
Oh, okay.
um,
All right.
it
Sounds
was
good.
really terrific hearing from you. Thank you so much for calling. And
Abe,
I mean, it was,
I've been so excited to speak with you. So, and then for this topic, it was like awesome. And then I got the Eva B card of like, oh, Abe's doing it. I'm on it.
well, she's the one who said to me, I had no idea this was such a condition. I mean, I'd never even heard of
It
it
really
before.
is.
And yeah, and
Yeah.
it's so rampant, so
It's
so
22
prolific.
million. 22 million. And I know we're just scratching the surface on this. And if you ever want to talk about it again, let me know.
I sure will.
And
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I did watch the screen or look at comments. For me, it would be could be too distracting. So I don't know if anybody had any
Yes,
questions or anything, but I'll take a look later
I
on.
completely
And
understand.
yeah,
It's some of the
sometimes it's
charm
tough.
of. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just saying,
Yeah, you
sometimes it's
just have to
just better
talk.
to engage. Yeah.
You'll get distracted, and it's something I'm trying to develop. I've never been a multitasker. I always try to engage the audience and I know the people. I've learned their names and learned from them who they are through the comments. And uh, some days it's just not going to happen as interactively. But I do
Right.
go back, and I'm sure PA Mentor will, and reads your comments. We
Yes.
value those comments. They're a very important part of all
Yeah.
this. So
Because I'm sure there were parents that had questions they might be going through it, or a family member might be going through it. And yeah, I'll definitely take a look, and like I said, direct message. And hey, this is our first conversation, so I want to be in it. And I know if we do this again, I can handle our conversation along with looking at what people are writing. But I just hope everybody's well, and kids need both parents. That's it. That's the message. Kids need both parents.
Right. Kids need both parents for sure. That's the best situation.
Okay.
If you did make a comment that we missed and you want to reach out to PA Mentor, you can follow her on Twitter, and she's open. She has open DMs. She mentioned that earlier. So
yeah,
is that right?
Yep. Right.
Okay. And your
Right.
PA Mentor on Twitter too.
Is it PA or PAS? Oh, PAS. Eva B wrote PAS Mentor.
Oh, PAS Mentor on Twitter.
See,
Okay.
I told you. I tried, but I screwed it all up.
You did great. You were fabulous. I mean, really, I didn't
One day
feel
I'll get
worthy of
everything.
such a.
You're
Yeah,
too
I
good, but
felt unworthy
maybe
of
one day
having
I'll
such
get
a.
all this lined up.
Yeah, you were great. Thank you very much.
Oh,
I'm going to
thank
end this
you.
now.
Yeah,
And
go
to
charge your
everybody
phone.
out
Thanks,
there,
Abe.
okay. Bye bye.
All right. Be well. God bless everyone. Bye bye.